Chapter 28. Hyun-ki's fear of losing Rielle to Chul. It was a quirk of fate that made Rielle and Chul meet in one place, by accident in the Han mansion. And yet, Rielle looked at him as a stranger, got scared, and wondered why this person considered her as his long-lost girlfriend. Dr. Chul was observing him. Then he asked, "Are you the Korean who was with her 2 years ago? With your countenance, I am positive that you are a Korean." "Yes," Dr. Chul asked. "Yes, doctor. I am a Korean, her fiancé, but I was not the patient who was brought in here with her 2 years ago. I am Hyun-ki." Hyun-ki reached out his hand to Dr. Chul for a handshake, and Dr. Chul made a handshake with him. Hyun-ki continued, "I was also waiting to meet and talk to you about Rielle's condition, Dr. Chul. Maybe you can spend a little time for me to discuss Rielle's condition." Dr. Chul raised his hand to pause for a while as he went back to checking on Rielle. "What happened that you rushed her here?" "I see no problem. Not even a contusion," said Dr. Chul. "She fainted out of her nervousness, I guess, Doc," Hyun-ki explained. A nervous breakdown. Let me make a thorough checkup on her." He studied her vitals and then said, "There's nothing wrong with her based on her vitals, but maybe she was in a tight situation that she was ventilating for air and fainted. That happens incredibly when tremendously scared of something." "What scared her, Mr. Han?" Hyun-ki couldn't describe what he wanted to say. Dr. Chul looked at him and spoke. "She must have seen something that troubled her mind, maybe triggered her amnesia." "Are you aware of her condition, Mr. Han?" "I came to know only a few days ago, from her friend, accidentally. However, and that was why I wanted to see you about her so-called selective amnesia." Dr. Chul placed his hand by his chin, rubbing it as he thought. Then he grinned and said, "See me at my office as soon as Rielle woke up." Then he walked away. Chul was already standing by the emergency room door when he met Dr. Chul. Their eyes met only, but both went on their way. Hwan stood by Hyun-ki then asked, "Is Rielle alright?" "Hyun?" asked Hwan curiously. Hyun-ki nodded. Hyun said, "You don't have to be here. You might scare her again. Go to your office, and then we'll talk about this whole thing tonight at home. Could you do this, Hwan? For her? Please?" Hwan nodded sadly, looked at the sleeping Rielle, then left. After some time, Rielle awakened and looked around her, wondering where she was. Then she saw Hyun-ki by her bedside. "Why am I here, Hyun?" "How long was I here?" asked Rielle, with traces of worry and wonder on her face. "You fainted, sweetheart. Then I got terrified, so I rushed you here. How do you feel now? I could bring you home to rest for the day, then I would fetch you tomorrow. Or we could have dinner tonight after my work," Hyun-ki said with much concern. "Are you sure you wanted me to take the rest of the day off? I feel so tired and weak, though." Rielle took Hyun-ki's hands and held them to hers. "I don't want you to tire yourself today. I want you to rest because this day brought you too much tension, and I don't want to lose our baby." Hyun-ki looked severe. Rielle got bothered suddenly, and her face became red. "What are you telling me, Hyun?" Hyun-ki then chuckled and said, "False alarm, sweetheart." Hyun-ki couldn't stop his laughter that Rielle was pissed, so she pounced the pillow at him. Hyun-ki hugged Rielle affectionately while laughing, saying, "It was only a joke, sweetheart. I was joking. Sorry." Rielle stopped fidgeting, and Hyun-ki caressed her face. He looked at her gently and lovingly, then said, "I love you, Rielle. I don't want to lose you." Then Rielle replied, "You won't lose me, Hyun, because I love you so much." Hyun-ki brought Rielle to the car and ordered Junie to bring her home to rest and then return for him to this hospital. "What will you do here, Hyun?" asked Rielle. "I'll pay the bill and see a doctor. I can't let you wait here because you need to rest. I'll call you later." "Okay," he replied. After they were gone, Hyun-ki came to see Dr. Chul. He was reluctant for fear that he may not like what Dr. Chul would tell him, but at the same time, uneasy about what he had to know, the thought that it may help him and Chul though, to express Rielle's amnesia. He knocked, and Dr. Chul let him in. Hyun-ki was starting to worry about what Dr. Chul might tell him. He looked at Dr. Chul's countenance. He was in his 50s, pleasingly plump, and had delicate skin, maybe because he was always neat and clean as a doctor and looked committed and approachable. Dr. Chul smiled and initiated the conversation. "Had she gained back her memory already?" inquired the doctor. "That is the reason why I am here, doctor. I wanted to know," said Hyun-ki. Dr. Chul paused, browsed Rielle's medical history, then explained Gabrielle's case. "I remember Miss Gabrielle Maricama's plight that night. She was brought in with a male patient in a near-death state. If help didn't come in fast for the ambulance to respond, they might be dead on arrival. Based on the head trauma they both got, both had broken bones, bathed in blood, but good enough their skull was not damaged, and their head trauma was caused by getting hit as the car turned like a spinning top. As described by the witnesses to the medical aids of the ambulance, I remember her male friend, but cannot remember his name, was a Korean national. Korean boyfriend brought in with her from the fatal car accident. I remember the mother requested the immediate transfer from this hospital to Korea. Despite going against our protocol, she insisted because she didn't want her son to die in this country. The Korean boyfriend's mother and Gabrielle's mom were arguing about the accident. Gabrielle's mom was frantic, blaming the son for the accident, which was why he was out of the hospital with the help of the city mayor back then. Gabrielle recovered from her unconscious state after 8 months and stayed for another 4 months for her psychological and physical therapy, Dr. Chul narrated. Gabrielle was powerful, a fighter. That's how I describe her because her treatment lasted only 4 months. Although sad to say, she could not remember that accident. During her psychological therapy sessions with me, Gabrielle precisely could not explain why she was unconscious. All she could tell was everything she learned from her mom about the accident but never got further into that issue since. As per the mother's suggestion, there was no need to elaborate, since she could not remember. Mrs. Kalma doesn't want her daughter to go through another pain, Hyun-ki asked with curiosity and inquiringly. She could not remember everything about her. Is that what you mean, Dr. Chul? Gabrielle maintained her memory about herself, her family, etc. Except for that fatal accident she got involved. It was peculiar, but it happens to some patients with head trauma injuries. Some memories were never retrieved, lost forever. Some may regain perhaps from getting into the same happening, witnessing a scene similar to what the patient had experienced, or having their memory back. Simple as that, based on what you have said about Rielle, 2 years now. And still no memory of that fatal accident? That also can happen. What happens now, doctor? Honestly, in your opinion, could there still be a chance that Rielle can find her past love in her memory? Hyun-ki was insistent on a positive result. Dr. Chul clarified to Hyun-ki to make him understand in layperson's terms. Maybe that painful moment Rielle felt triggered her consciousness to block a specific part of her memory until it got lost deep in her brain, simultaneously with her head trauma. Let me put it this way. When a person was depressed and angry, she wanted to grieve alone, bury herself in sorrow, and there she would spend her time moping, crying, and nursing her broken heart until she decided to shut herself from the world. She will permanently close her windows so no one can ever look into her world, then prefers to die in melancholy that also goes with the heart and the brain. Once the owner of that heart felt extreme pain and sadness and decided to shut her windows unconsciously, the veins of her heart would flow fast to the brain, commanding it to bury everything that triggers that extreme pain deep into her memory and block it forever, not to wake again. This is what happened to Rielle. She could not recall her past about that accident and everything about her love life. This is selective amnesia. Hyun-ki thought that it was useless for Chul to get Mari back. How can he take her back if she couldn't even remember him, their beautiful love affair, their plan to get married, if until this time she could not find him in her memory? Hyun-ki was tremendously worried for his brother because he knew Chul wouldn't let Rielle set him free without a fight, and goal was to get healed and find Mari as soon as he called himself to normalcy. And from this thought, the good relationship between brothers might cause a rift between them, a rivalry that cannot be avoided. Only Rielle's decision could end the rift between him and Hwan. The more Hyun-ki fell deep in this thought, the more he felt insecure and afraid. What if Rielle chose Chul once her memory returned? How would he take it? Rielle and Chul met in an uncanny situation in the Hwan mansion where Hwan was shocked to meet his long-lost girlfriend while Rielle considered him a stranger. Will both have a chance to reconcile and continue the abrupt loss of their love affair? Keep following the Windows of the Heart series on my YouTube channel and TikTok. Please subscribe, like and share. Your comments will help to inspire me more. Thank you.